with Renee.
Yo. We wait all week and all day for more. Saturdays with Renee.
All right. What's up, world? Welcome back to Saturdays with Renee, right here on Black Liberation Media. Renee Johnston, Geechee Y'all, Jara Ball in the building. Is this 49? Is this episode 49?
You know what?
I gotta check the numbers.
Hold on. You know what? You know it's on the sheet because I've been tracking. Once we got to like episode 42, I was like, oh, I should start paying attention.
Yo, you years are older.
Oh, wait, I don't have the, you know what? I did it again. I don't have the Geechee run sheet.
You on the wrong run sheet. There you go.
I did it again. All right. Did it again. I'll get there. Hold on a second.
Yes, it's episode 49, man. 49.
Wow.
You're getting old, Renee. Getting old.
I know. The weekly episodes are now older than me. They just got older than me. We were the same age for about 6 days.
Well, they're still not as old as me, so
you know, Jared. They've been older than me, shoot.
There we go.
Boy. There we go. These babies.
There we
working
go.
With these babies. All right, everybody, please make sure you like, share, subscribe, support the Patreon, ring the bell. If you're watching this live, invite others to join you. Those who see this after the live, welcome and peace to you as well. We got a great show, a full show. Renee has been back into the depths of the research's archives, the rabbit trails and
rabbit bird droppings, and come on.
All
I literally sent these two a text like, I'm so deep in this rabbit hole. Send me a ladder. I need a ladder. It was so much.
And in addition to that, we also have a great guest.
Yes,
to start off with.
Very
so any other preambles before we do the introduction and bring her up? Anybody?
Maybe we should warn people that we are pre-recorded, which we have not done yet. This time, for the first time, it is not Jared's fault, y'all. It is my fault. I had to travel, and I was concerned that I wouldn't be able to focus live, and plus this worked out better for our guests to pre-record anyway, so it all worked out. We got Geechee back 2 weeks in a row. I don't think you've ever done 2 weeks in a row, Geech.
Back to back like Drake.
Oh,
I
no,
can't.
That's not good. Dang.
No.
And Kendrick told you there's no second round.
You're right. Dang, my bad. I'll try. I'll do better.
You know, got to get that Super Bowl bag.
But we are pre-recorded. I will try my best to be in the chat tomorrow. We'll see if I can do it. I missed like the last part this morning of the brand new Friday remix. So I'll circle back to listen to the last half hour that we lost signal just to start to get into some new conversation.
And if anybody else missed it, go check it out. It was a big show, big announcements, big surprises, returns, quarrels being settled. You know, we George Jackson around here. We settle our quarrels. You know what I'm saying?
Good move.
So yeah, so check it out. And again, make sure you have the bell rung so you don't miss all of the wonderful offerings coming on the platform. Just do yourself a favor. Plus including the new Patreon special that we dropped, that Renee put together, hosted, and we dropped with another fantastic interview, Professor Salam, as another reminder why we cannot reward genocidaires, as Jackie says.
I like that.
With our vote.
Dares.
Or as Geechee says, the genociders. No, who said they say the genociders? It wasn't Geechee.
That wasn't me. Don't.
I think it was Kim. Kim said that because she says she's country. So she said the genociders. We can't support them with our votes. So. There it is. All right. So who have you miraculously pulled
so we're,
together?
we let people introduce themselves on Saturdays. So we're gonna pull up Gabi. And I'm very, very excited to have Gabi join us today. Thank you so much for your time.
Welcome,
and I will only briefly say that Gabi is part of the PSL New Jersey chapter, and she is here to talk about all the things PSL. So, Gabi, do you want to introduce yourself to our Saturday team in the chat and let folks know who you are, what how you got involved, all that good stuff?
Yes, thank you for having me. Thank you for all the work that you do, and congratulations on episode 49. My name is Gabi. I've been a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation since early 2017, and now I'm helping to build our branch out in New Jersey. I was originally part of the New York City branch. That's where a lot of my organizing has been over the last few years. And Renee and I just recently met at a campaign event with Claudia de la Cruz in New Jersey. Jared and I just realized we met a while back, also in Newark at another campaign event. So, and then Geechee, I think this is our first time meeting. So amazing to see you all again in this space. Thank you. Oh, yes. I see that background.
We Claudia supporters up in this camp right here.
Jay, you was mute.
People.
I got my t-shirt, but it's mailed to the wrong place right now. I'll get it later on. But
okay. I was
just late in the transfer because it was I just was rushing, so I didn't. I'm late, but yeah, definitely, that's where I'm at.
I actually packed my t-shirt because I've decided I'm gonna make people angry because I'm about to be surrounded by a whole bunch of Kamala Harris people. I just know it. So I'm gonna rock my PSL t-shirt at some point. We're gonna figure it out. So you said you started out doing more New York, which I know, between the New York City Forum and all of Claudia's work and her being out of the South Bronx and everything. Can you talk about when you say organizing for PSL, what the main road is, and this is more for the audience. I know the answer, but just so people are clear what PSL organizes around when you speak on organizing, and also the decision to bring it to New Jersey specifically and to have a New Jersey chapter, because I do know that's fairly new. If I remember correctly, there wasn't a chapter specific to New Jersey. You had to commute to New York if you wanted to participate. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Appreciate the question. Well, the PSL is organized around, chapters across the country. And really, we're a vehicle for bringing together class conscious fighters across struggles. And so, when I say I've been organizing with the PSL, I've really been, fighting capitalism on multiple fronts with the PSL, from, fighting against gentrification, racist rezoning, the fight for affordable housing, to the fight for women's rights, reproductive justice, abortion rights, to the fight for Black liberation, against racist police brutality. Really, I consider myself very lucky in that, pretty early on, when I became an activist, I was really sort of moved by the Ferguson uprising, and then was trying to be out in the streets as much as possible every day. I was volunteering for all these different organizations. I was up at 7 a.m. at the train station flyering and marshaling at actions, and eventually met the PSL and was like, "Oh, you're socialist. What's that?" And was like, "Oh, I think I'm a socialist too." And so this was a relationship built over the course of many years. But what I found time and time again is that every issue that I was that mattered to me, the PSL on some level was a part of that struggle. And then ultimately, what really unites us all in this organization is that we're fighting for the socialist retransformation of our society. And so the electoral campaign that we have right now with Claudia de la Cruz and Karina Garcia as our candidates is really a vehicle to expose so many people across the country to our vision, our socialist vision for the future, our program, and why we say and argue that socialism is really the only way to address the magnitude of problems facing working people in this country. And in that fight, it's necessary to build our own organizations. It's necessary to build a revolutionary party. So while we're engaged in all these different struggles, that is a primary task of all party members, is to continue to build this revolutionary party and to continue to advance the fight for socialism here in the United States. And then on the question of New Jersey, yeah, you're right. It was for a time we were having members that lived in New Jersey that were coming to New York City to actions and eventually joined our New York City chapter. And, we just kept growing, getting more and more members that were based in New Jersey. And we said, okay, we got to be out in Jersey. And so I'd say, primarily we're in northern New Jersey, but we're growing in central Jersey as well. Especially through the campaign, we're meeting more people that are finding us through social media that are sort of all over New Jersey. But yeah, primarily our presence is in northern Jersey. We just had this amazing campaign event where people drove for hours to come hear Claudia speak. That was in Orange, New Jersey. And so, yeah, we've been out in the streets, Jersey City, Newark, Orange, consistently, of course, over the last few months, but even prior to then, just building a presence out in Jersey and getting involved with a lot of local struggles. We were on the picket lines with the USW nurses when they were on strike. We've been organizing for Palestinian liberation in Paterson, in Newark. So really, I have to commend the comrades in New Jersey because they are they are all over building relationships and really advancing this fight.
Cool, and shout out to the hub. The hub,
yeah,
that's where the last event was, and the hub is a centralized space in Orange, New Jersey that is literally it serves to house and to provide open community space for people who need to organize and use the space. That's where we do our abolition meetings every month. So I walk in and Doug was like, Renee, I was like, Doug. So shout out to the hub and congrats, Doug. He's getting married this weekend. His wedding is tomorrow, also at the hub, funny enough. So, yep.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I'm so excited about that relationship. Seriously, shout out to Doug, shout out to the hub. They embraced us. We had some relationship before, but we were just like, hey, we're trying to organize this event for the campaign. And they were like, we can't endorse, but you can use the space and you're welcome. And it was just I could not have imagined a better environment for our event, especially with Claudia's history and liberation theology. It was just, she walked in and it was immediate kinship. And she kept saying throughout the night, this is church. So I'm glad we got to have that experience together.
No, right on. So I don't know, Geechee, did you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think so with and we kind of talked about this a little bit backstage, but I wonder in terms of PSL, so you have obviously the Green Party, and then you have the African People's Socialist Party, the WHO3, who's under this crazy ass charges. I just wonder how do you look at the connection between those different, I guess, parties? Is there connections? Is work probably be done together? And just some positions on the two different left groups.
No, I appreciate the question. Yeah, I think it's, it's important to name that we've been in the struggle with all of these organizations that you mentioned for years. We have a very comradely relationship. We just, we're out rallying for the Uhuru 3, wrote a statement of solidarity that we've been circulating on social media. Jill and Claudia have been, at all the same rallies the past few months, sharing, the stage together. So it's been years of a very comradely relationship. And, I think for us, we've been extremely clear that a primary task of this campaign and, the work of the PSL over the last 20 years is to build a movement for socialism in this country, is to really unite all of these progressive forces together, these organizations together, to build these alliances to fight against our common enemy. And so, like, you know, it's a long relationship, but a friendly one, and one where we always are like seeking out opportunities to work together. You know, the decision to, you know, continue forward with our own electoral campaign, our own candidates, is really to seize this opportunity to tell people more about our socialist vision for the future, to really define our program, to really emphasize the necessity of a socialist party, and to invite people into that process, whether they become a member, whether they're just friends of the party, whether they are volunteer throughout the course of the campaign. We want to invite them into struggle, and this is a means to do that. And you know, we are not in this struggle alone, right? The struggle for socialism alone. We work together with all of these different organizations. And I think particularly in the last 11 months, in fighting against the genocide and occupation in Palestine, I think this has brought a lot of currents in the left closer together, a lot of organizations closer together. You know, we've been together pretty much every week since October 8th. So I think it's a really, at least in my short time of being an organizer at the PSL, it's been an incredible past year of just having more opportunities to learn from one another, drawing closer together, just building more comrades in the movement. So,
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, right on. So I just want to hear again another version of what we were talking about on another program. You know, some the refrain against the Green Party candidates, that they're destroying democracy, that they are allowing Trump to win, all these kinds of things. And we were talking about this in the context of Jill Stein and Butch Ware being on The Breakfast Club. And then we also pointed out that The Breakfast Club, while it was wild that they would even talk to the Green Party, we're pretty confident that they're not going to go any farther to the actual left and involve Claudia and Kareem in the discussion. Yet, for instance, selfishly in my classrooms, we do talk about this campaign, but they're watching The Breakfast Club. My students are watching The Breakfast Club, and very similar. So I'm always looking for new ways to get help verbalizing why this is the way to go. So when you hear those popular refrains of you're supporting Trump, you're wasting a vote, why are you doing this? Or even from the left who say, why are you involved in electoral politics at all? Any real revolutionaries? We're doing blah, 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 blah. If you would talk to those constituencies for a moment.
I'd love to. Yeah, I think especially, first, it's not the first time that we've heard these refrains before. The PSL, like the Green Party, we've run in many elections. And each and every time, it's like, oh, this is a threat to democracy. It's not the right time for a third party. We just need to push the Democrats left. And these things have been said. They've been attempted. They have not succeeded. And for us, it's like there is no better time for us to continue to fight for these alternatives to this two-party system. And really, I think it's safe to say that most people here and those watching did tune into the debates and saw the sham of a democracy that we have, where two factions of the ruling class are essentially pointing fingers at each other for what they did and didn't do in their time in office, making false promises of what they will do if they were in office, engaging in all this racist rhetoric and really affirming their commitment to the war machine, to militarizing the border, to waging even more violence against people here in the United States and in other parts of the world, continuing their support for Israel, continuing to funnel billions of dollars towards that genocide and occupation, towards the war in Ukraine. We saw for ourselves where their interests lie, just as we've seen time and time again. And so really, if we're going to argue that we need to fight for democracy, let's actually look at what that really means, right? What we are experiencing is not a democracy. Right now we're experiencing attacks from these deep-pocketed Democrats that are spending like, I think $100 million to try to get us off the ballot, right? In Georgia and Pennsylvania. That's how much they are threatened by, progressive and socialist parties like the Green Party, like PSL. It's why we're excluded from these debates in the first place, right? It's why there exists all of these instruments that really stand in the way of the popular will of the people. It's why, despite millions of people being out in the street, over 61% of the population saying they want an arms embargo, the U.S. continues to give the full backing and financial support to Israel. And so, we've seen time and time again their claims for a democracy. And sometimes you're right, these expressions can also come from, well-meaning people, confused people that, feel a real sincere fear, I think. But it is our responsibility to remind them, right? Like, we've seen what the Biden-Harris administration is capable of already. We've seen what the Trump administration is capable of already. If they didn't like radically or materially change the conditions, the lives of working people in their time in office for the better, then what makes you think they'll do it now, right? We've attempted, or not we, but people have said, we're going to put their feet to the fire. We're going to push the Democrats left. And what we're seeing is, they are more and more sounding like the Republicans. They have shown that they're aligned in so many ways when it comes to fracking, when it comes to supporting war and genocide, and even the economic proposals that they're putting forward. It's not enough. It's not enough to meet the scale of the needs of most working people here in this country. And so I think it's on us to really continue to expose that and to tell people, if we want an alternative, because we know we need an alternative, because that's not really serving anyone other than the rich, the corporations. Brian and Claudia did an interview yesterday, and they said it, the only winner in those debates were, the military industrial complex, was Wall Street, right? Wall Street corporations. And so that fight for building an alternative really rests on us, right? It's going to rest on the engagement, the participation of as many people as possible in building up our own instruments to fight back, right? And so, I think we can anticipate that people will say these things, but we have to be kind of firm in our commitment and really kind of emphasize the unity of our movement right now, which, as I mentioned before, has grown stronger in the last year, especially. So, things will be said and done to, I think, steer us off course, but, history's on our side, facts on our side, and also the people are on our side. We've had the experience of being out in the streets, for months now, talking to people about socialism, and we're met with such an openness, people really they ask questions. They're like, what do you mean by that? And what is that? What do you actually stand for? And what would you do? And, they want to know our solutions. And many people want to be a part in building that in some way. And so there's opportunity there. And I think we can't kind of get caught up in some of this chatter and really just push ourselves to be engaging in what we see as an opportunity for mass political education at a time when everybody's focused on the electoral arena. I mean, how could you not? It's everywhere on the mainstream media, the ads, everything. So we can't cede this ground. We have to be there engaging people around it and meeting them where they are. And that includes with whatever fears they may have or, reservations they may have about fully embracing an alternative. We've been out building trust with them. We've been out exposing them to these ideas. And what we're finding, is that people are a lot more ready than you would think if you were just listening to maybe some online chatter or watching the mainstream news. People are so ready to fight for something other than this failed two-party capitalist system.
So Jared forced me to go to this event called InvestFest. He threatened me. He said, if I don't go, I'm going to lose my job and all this other stuff. So I had to go. And I started interviewing the audience.
Forced. Did he say forced?
Yeah, man, he forced me, man.
And threatened.
Threatened too. Yeah. So as I'm going to interview the participants at this big vest. So Earn Your Leisure is a financial literacy guru magnet, big corporation at this point, who's backed by BlackRock and other people. They have this event. None of the people on the stage are investors at all. None of them made their money investors. They're like rappers and celebrities, actors, or whatever. But as I'm interviewing the participants, who are people who have to pay at least $300 to get to this place, even so much that they can finance their ticket to this place. But as you're talking to them, majority of the people are literally saying they want socialism without saying they want socialism. But then their conclusion is become better at financial literacy. And then my question kind of leads to, with the interview yesterday with the Green Party, Angela Rice says it was wishful thinking or something like that. I posted this the other day, and this sister was saying, now all of these ideas, and I posted a lot of PSL's political line and then things that I believe in. But she called it like a utopian, right? You know, I like these ideas, it's notable, but this is just, you know, just too much. Can you kind of speak to the idea that the demands, the things that we're asking for, the things that you are asking for is being, I guess, positioned like, oh, that's just wild. Like, it's crazy that everybody has healthcare and stuff like that. But can you kind of speak to that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm actually really glad that you shared that story, by the way. That, I mean, it's true. These are some, you know, things we have to contend with when we're out talking with our class, that they have the right intentions. They understand that something is deeply wrong with the system that we're in. They feel the effects of it every day, but perhaps still feel like, you know, I can just work my way out of these conditions, and don't necessarily see it as a systemic issue that can be changed. And to your point of, you know, whether this is wishful thinking or not, I mean, one, we study history. We know that there have been successful socialist revolutions in the world. And we also study the science of Marxism and know that, you know, we actually have all of the wealth and productive capability that we need to meet the needs of everyone, not only just to survive, but to actually thrive. But it's going to take the reorganization of society into socialism. And I think what's the major opportunity here in this campaign is that it sort of breaks down, you know, what does a new economy rooted around people's needs actually look like? What are the things that are actually we could achieve very quickly, you know, with this retransformation? We could just seize these corporations and nationalize them. We could just enact price freezes. You know, we can change our constitution. We can change the laws, the courts, these institutions to actually guarantee rights like abortion rights, the right to housing and healthcare guaranteed. And so I think the reality is we are, you know, talking to our class, which has been told all of their lives that this is pie in the sky thinking, that this just can't be done. And it's really on us to say, actually, the thing that's standing between all that we want and can achieve together with the immense capability of our class is the ruling class. It's these bankers, it's these capitalists that serve them. It's the people that are here telling us, you know, we don't have money for education, we don't have money for healthcare, but we can spend $1 trillion annually on war. And that is always a bipartisan effort. There's no gridlock, there's no, you know, debate or division around that for the ruling class, right? And so I think continuing to expose these contradictions and to say, you know, this system isn't working for us. And beyond that, it's like leading to the destruction of our entire planet. If ever there were a moment for us to fight for something else, something that we know has been successfully done before, something that we already know we have the conditions to reorganize our economy in a way that can actually solve the crises that we're facing. And so it is a process of deep political education with people. And I'm really glad you were there engaging with people in those conversations, and that it continues. I mean, I think a lot of times when we we're out there talking to our class, we know that we're just either planting the seed or watering the seed, and we have to continue to create opportunities for that education to continue. So we invite people out to more events. We tell them, read this and check out this, and come, like, see for yourself what it is that we're building, and see for yourself like what has been done before. See for yourself. I mean, we literally wrote a book on what it would mean and how it would be possible to have a socialist revolution here in the United States, because we really wanted to like make that clear and to popularize these ideas to very wide audiences in this country. And so both through our literature, through our face-to-face interactions with people, it's both continuously dispelling the myths which we know people are inundated with constantly, that it can't be done, that it's a failed system, and we have to show them what's possible day in and day out. And it takes time. We didn't always know what we know now, and haven't always been the socialists we are today, the activists we are today. And so I think having that patience and that revolutionary optimism to really believe that people can be changed, and that they'll have to have like really significant political experiences in that too, right? Like, I find that today it feels so different to be out there in the streets talking to people about imperialism, about socialism, than it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago, right? And so people have lived through these mass uprisings against racism and police brutality. They've lived through a pandemic. They've lived through, almost a year of struggle for Palestinian liberation. All of these things have profoundly changed people. And so it's on us to continue to like have these interventions in the battle of ideas in every way we can, through media, through our literature, and through being out there connecting with our class, and recognizing it's going to be a process, and there will be some feelings of disillusionment and some convincing we have to do, some trust that we really have to build on. But I've seen like unbelievable growth in the party and unbelievable growth in all of my comrades, and we have like a huge network of friends and supporters now, people who, just months ago, felt like they didn't want to engage in politics at all. And now they've come into this, so it's, I don't know, we have a lot of optimism because we have a lot of contact with other workers every day, engaging in this education with them.
Thank you. And I've said this to Claudia, that one of the things that I find just absolutely brilliant is every time I get a PSL email from like, you send out the random notifications and here's the updates and whatever. If you scroll to the bottom, there's always education. Read this, watch this, here's something you can follow up on. And I remember the first time when I caught it, thinking to myself, have I ever seen that come to me from a political campaign? Like, here's some things that you can learn and read and gain more information to better your understanding of the political landscape and how it can change and what your role in that can be. And I was so thoroughly impressed when I saw that. I remember thinking, all right, I got to figure out how, and this was before I met Claudia for the first time. So I went into that first meeting when she came on here and I was like, oh, she's so dope. They send out these great emails, right? So my question for you is, so, with everything, and I can only imagine what it's like being out and engaging with people, for people who are interested in doing more than just volunteering from the campaign, because, I'm sure you all will find that in November, you might be engaging with less people simply because there isn't this massive, work of trying to do the campaign thing. But how do people engage and get involved with PSL as organizers who want to get involved with the actual organization beyond just working for the campaign?
Yes. Oh, I'm glad you asked that. And I mean, I think it remains to be seen, right? I mean, whatever the results of the election, and also what's what will follow in the next administration, I think there undoubtedly will be other opportunities for people to struggle, and we hope that they come and do that with us, whether as members, whether as friends. We say we'll be out in the streets before election day and after. We'll continue with our political education before and after. And so I invite everyone who wants to get involved with the PSL to follow us on all the social media networks, to check out our website, and like most of all, to speak with our organizers, so that people, I mean, if any of you have ever met me in person, like, I'm a talker. Well, also probably you gather that from this interview here. And so I just, I always tell people, I'm like, I can tell you these things, but I'd rather show you this. I'd rather you have the opportunity to actually be out in the streets flyering with us, to come to one of our forums, to really see what we're about, and to envision yourself as being part of what we see as a life project of committing yourself to socialist revolution in this country. And so, if I invite everyone to check out our website, pslweb.org. There's like ways that you can sign up for notifications and things like that. And we hope, we actually want as many people as possible to continue to organize with us after, the election. It's interesting, like a few times that I've gone out to do outreach, sometimes people are like, my mind is made up. I know who I'm going to vote for. I'm going to vote for Kamala, And I'm like, okay, let's talk a little bit about that. But, then I'm like, well, we're going to continue organizing whether, we win the election or not. And that is something you can be a part of too. And whatever your vote, like, I still actually really want you to be a part of this with us. So, and especially if folks who are watching want to get involved with the New York City and the New Jersey branches, at NYCPSL, at PSL New Jersey. And yeah, please talk to our organizers, because we love what we do, and we're always so enthusiastic of bringing more people into this movement with us.
Could you mentioned that you all wrote a book, and I'm assuming you meant Socialist Reconstruction, which I find very helpful. And I'm wondering if you could just say a word or two about how, because as you mentioned, the book lays out what socialism in real life could look like, and how we would move from this reality into something else in a way that doesn't come across as utopian, fantasy or fanciful. Could you say a couple of things? Maybe I don't know if you say a couple of things about what that book is arguing as to how the PSL would want to usher in socialism, or in other words, what does socialism look like in real life as you all are arguing for it?
Yes. Well, first and foremost, I highly encourage everyone to pick up a copy, read it for themselves. It really is, like you say, a resource. I find that, whenever I'm meeting people that want to begin their study of socialism, and start to ask the questions, well, what would our legal system look like under socialism? What about policing in prisons? What about, addressing the climate crisis? Like, all of that is covered in this book. So it really is, thank you. I know, I also keep that thing on me. So it's very comprehensive in that way. And so, but it starts by, an analysis of capitalism, talking about like the sort of deepening inequality, cascading crises, the endless wars, the climate catastrophe, right? The conditions that we have been living under. It talks about popular movements and struggles in the United States. And then it goes on to talk about the necessity of revolution, and how a socialist revolution could begin to address, these many issues that we're facing, and actually build a true economy for the people, a true democracy for the people. And so it talks about everything from how, these institutions that exist under capitalism that directly stand in the way of democracy, that exist as tools of repression against workers, like the Supreme Court, like the CIA, need to be abolished. They talk about how corporations and all industries and enterprises can be nationalized and put under the control of the people, where we can have a true participatory democracy of all workers in the workplaces, in their industries, through mass organizations that will work directly with what this workers' government that we would build together, what it means to change legislation and to decarbonize our economy and actually use technology to modernize our society, to improve the quality of life for people, and to actually move us away from the fossil fuel industry that's causing profound harm to the environment, and then also talking about actually ending imperialist wars, and building international solidarity and cooperation with all the nations across the world, and what it means to actually sustain that, right? And so it really is transforming every part of society and life as we know it. It also talks about, how will we address the needs of Indigenous people, Black people, what would it actually look like to carry out reparations, care for the elderly, what would it look like to actually have free nationalized healthcare in this country, and really completely changing all of these, doing away with the institutions.
And it's not just saying this. I just want to add, if I can, sorry to interrupt. It's not just saying you lay out these are the we're going to get rid of this department in the government and replace it with this. It will now do that. It's very clear. So I just wanted to add that little bit of emphasis. Yeah.
I wonder if you could, building off of that, veggie backing off of that, lion's mane, by the way. So there's this argument, the voter apathy, the uncommitted, and then the stealing of votes. And one of the arguments that the Green Party made, and I'm sure you all are hip to it as well, that there are people who say they'll vote for Harris, but they showed a report, or they profess to have a report, that a lot of the people who were supporting them saying they wasn't gonna vote anyway. So the lying about, oh, we're stealing people's vote, it's speaking to people who are at this point fed up. And a funny thing on the Breakfast Club interview was Charlemagne actually explicitly said he wants a third party while he's trying to destroy a third party but yeah, just kind of speak to the reception of a third party today, the reception of socialist ideas as we kind of talked about, and then just I guess in light of this idea of stealing votes from either Trump or that other person over there.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you raised that. And I think, what we find is actually, and it honestly depends on where you are, right? But I hear a lot less of the vote blue, no matter who argument, of this stealing votes away from this candidate and that candidate, and a lot more of what you describe as I think a normal and understandable generalized feeling of disillusionment, disengagement from politics altogether, and apathy, skepticism even. And so I think that's why it's really important, like you said, Jared, for us to be as detailed as possible, as clear as possible about what we mean when we say, the socialist retransformation of our society, because when we expose people to these ideas, I mean, they can't help but to be like, that makes a lot of sense. I would like to see that. And so, I think it is real. And I think one thing that we advise everyone when they're going out and doing outreach, and or they're hosting an event and it comes time to do a discussion with the audience, or we're having an orientation for volunteers, it's really important to listen. It's really important to actually get at the core of what it is that are making people feel, doubtful, feel reluctant, feel whatever the case may be, that this actually isn't possible. And then we can begin to like work through that together and say like, you know, but where are these ideas coming from and what's making you feel this way? And, you know, here's actually how possible it could really be. And so, you know, I feel like there's, and I think we're seeing it too, like there are more and more polls coming out that people are interested in exploring an alternative. They're interested in seeing what that could be. And so I think working through that apathy also like means not only presenting a lot of clarity around our ideas and our arguments, but also showing people that we're going to continue to fight alongside them and to continue to build with them. Like I feel like a lot of people, even if I get this a lot when I'm out there, they're like, well, you know, I admire you for having this hope, or I admire you for doing this, or for, you know, and I'm like, but you could do it too. And I really want to do this with you. And it's baby steps. Like, you know, maybe it starts like someone comes out to one thing and then another thing. And then, you know, but, or maybe they're not necessarily coming out in the streets with us, but they're like, oh, I'll donate, or I'll, you know, offer up space for you to meet out of my, like, it's little contributions that people start to make when they feel like, oh, this is actually something I could be a part of. And it's actually, and I think it's really important for people to understand why it is we're running the campaign, that it's not just about securing the presidency for us, right? It's not about a victory on election day necessarily. It's about continuing to build what we so rightfully deserve, a party of our own, to build a movement that's beholden only to the interests of workers, like something that is by us, for us, truly, right? And so I think just rooting people in the rationale of like why we're doing what we're doing, exposing them to what is possible, and seeing all the ways that they can plug into that really begins to kind of melt away, I think, some of that skepticism, that apathy. But it does take time. Like I had a conversation with a transit worker in New Jersey, and at first he was just like, you know, he's like, oh, you have a candidate you want to talk to me about? He's like, I don't vote, you know, I don't trust any politicians. And I'm like, and I was like you too. I didn't vote before I knew of the PSL. I also couldn't vote for many years because I was undocumented. And I didn't engage in politics for the longest time. I called myself apolitical. And you're right, not to trust politicians. And that's why we're putting forward these candidates, because they're not politicians. They're comrades, they're activists. They've been in the struggle for years. And so even the points of like skepticism, apathy, like they become points to connect with people around, because people are really justified in feeling that way, right? Like there's no promise really in this system for them. And so how do we take that from being a moment where that can be tense and combative, and we're not going to debate with them. We're going to be like, I understand how you feel. And that's why, you know, I'm helping to build this party. That's why I organize. That's why I fight for another system, knowing that there really is no hope and promise in this capitalist system. So let's build something together. So I think we've learned a lot about how to connect with people, even those that are feeling, understandably so, completely, you know, disengaged from politics.
That was such a good answer. And I think,
now listen.
Listen, I just want you to know, Gabi, that it takes a lot to get the bars. Just so you know, if Jared whips that out on you, that's big time. It takes a lot to get the bars. So I'm registered Green Party in New Jersey, which actually doesn't really mean much, because what it actually means is I'm registered as an independent, but I've told Green Party that I'm, you know, willing to work with them. And I'm also, you know, chair of a committee, and I work within the Green Party on a multiple level of things, mostly because I couldn't do the duopoly thing anymore. And so I needed to step away from it. And one of the things that I think I have found that I most appreciate about what PSL is doing is that focus on the actual work, right? And this has been my argument, and I feel like Jared and I are like in sync with this argument, that part of the problem that I see with my party specifically is that level of doing the political education work is not, it's not as tight as I would like it to be. Right. And so one of the things that I think creates this dynamic where people are able to say, like, the Green Party just shows up every 4 years and then, is and for as incorrect as it is, because as someone who is fully invested in the state party, there is a lot of work happening in between, these presidential campaigns. But I think that groundwork of teaching, like, here is how we can make life better. Let's not even talk about the campaign. If you don't want to vote, if you're not invested in electoral politics, like, let's talk about the things that don't make your life better and how we can make your life better. And let's work on really formalizing this idea of what needs to happen in order for your material conditions to improve as a regular working person in this country. So that is something that I like fully applaud, because I think that is what's missing in most campaigns, right? Like, I think not just Green Party, I think in general, when you look at the political landscape, what is missing is a real effort and investment into the political education and the conversation with people about why they don't want to participate in electoral politics. I think too often people get brushed off as like unintelligent or whatever reason, because they don't vote, they're not, they don't get it, these things. And people don't understand the value of the protest of, I'm not participating in a system that I know does not work to my benefit and is not ever going to work to improve my material conditions. So having said all of that, how, for people who are organizers but are outside of the PSL, but fully support what you all are trying to do, how can we, add those bridges to work together to do things? Because I already in my head have like this vision of a socialism class, and I don't really know like how to like, I'm like I woke up one morning and I was like, we should do monthly abolition meetings. And now we've been doing these, like, we're on number 9 coming up this month. And so what does that look like for someone who wants to engage with PSL, maybe not particularly join because for whatever reason, but how do you create that bridge so that there can be these joint opportunities to have people do that political education and to really gain something in order to help them move forward in this diabolical capitalist space that we are all residing in?
Oh, such a good question. I'm like, also, let's talk after this about that class. But no, we are in coalition with so many organizations. We love collaboration. We love working together. We love, we've done a lot of collaborative political education with the Palestinian Youth Movement over the last 11 months, with the Body Collective. Like, we embrace that. We want to have, many friends. We want to be collaborating with other organizations. We want to be in coalition. A lot of, our mass demonstrations, all of this are, they're coalitional efforts with other organizations. And so that's very much like the way that we move as an organization. And so I think if there is an idea around joint political education, I mean, I invite folks to reach out to the PSL and we can talk about, is it a good fit? Is there an alignment? Obviously, I think with you, yes. But, that's like very much a part of the work that we do. Like I said, and sometimes the collaborations, come through us just kind of, either being out in the streets doing outreach with people, or someone that we've organized with is, I think you need to, speak to this person. I mean, we spoke about the hub and how we got connected there. And now it's like, there's all this possibility here. And like immediately it was like, let's like figure out what else we can do beyond this one event. And so I think for us, it's extremely exciting when other organizations are like, we want to bring in the PSL to help us build up our political education programming, to take part in that, we organize book talks to have our comrades come out and speak and talk about, like, there's so many events that we've done with other organizations and that we're open to do. So I think if people have ideas, proposals, to bring them forward, because yeah, I think this is all part of the process of like strengthening our movement. And if it means like helping other organizations have the tools to like be able to carry out this political education, to, you know, strengthen the relationship between our organizations, to bring more fighters into the movement. I mean, we want that. I think it's safe to say that we all want that. So absolutely, absolutely. Please reach out to us if you want to collaborate.
Anything else, y'all? Did we get it all covered?
I mean, no, but she has to go organize the rest of the revolution. So what? I mean,
I failed. I tried to queue up this this little thing I was trying to work on. So I don't know if any of y'all have like gospel background, but there's a gospel singer that's named Lisa Page Brooks, and she has a new viral video singing "The Devil Is a Liar." So what I was gonna do is say, if you think that the third party candidate is not serious and don't have the chance to win, then I was gonna play "The Devil Is a Liar" clip, but I just couldn't download it fast enough. We could play the YouTube video, but the clip ain't.
I mean, if Geechee just want to report his failures, that's fine. But I mean, I
was trying to work on it. I had it queued up. I was trying to queue it up.
No, but this is what happens when we come across, and you know, and this is a sort of a baked-in flaw of being emancipatory journalists, that we work with people doing the work, and they be busy. They can't just be sitting around podcasting all day like me. They out there being busy. So, you know, what can we do? I would say it'd be great to have you come back at some point if and give us an update on the campaign, and what we should do is have her come through for some Breakfast Club clip viewing next time.
Ooh.
I mean, how do we get Claudia on the Breakfast Club to eat everybody?
I mean,
she would eat. Can I just tell you, she would eat them up. Like, I just can't. I watched that, and so of course, you know, we're on this text chat, so we're consistently like, "Did you see this? Did you see this?" So Geechee sends it in the text chat, and I'm like, "Oh boy, here we go." So I'm like in the middle of watching it, sending text like, "Oh my God, why that?" Da, 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 da. You know, because it's so frustrating to me as a person who simply wants people to tell the truth, right? Like, I feel like the request of just be honest should not be the gargantuous ask that it has turned into when you are dealing with these grifters who are really just looking to gain popularity and following and make money off of trying to make somebody look a certain way. So for me, watching that exchange between, what's her name? I don't even know the chick, Angela
Rye
and Dr. Stein, it was so disingenuous, right? Like, to sit on screen and to read off the amount of times that Dr. Stein lost an election that she ran in, and then to be mad when she's called on the fact that she is absolutely like speaking white supremacist rhetoric. Like, if you focus on the things that people who are trying to change the system are doing and listing them as failures, while you were talking about sitting in a room with the woman who is literally like all for genocide, but you were worried about how they pronounce her name than you are about the fact that she is literally supporting a genocide. Like, I just can't, I don't have the energy for that. Like, I don't have the tolerance for it. Jared, you said it this morning, like, you don't know if you could manage yourself. And like, this is why, like, people sometimes are like, Renee, you should run. And I'm like, y'all, have you seen me answer people when they ask me questions that are absolutely nonsensical? Like, I don't have time for people. I'm like, my answer a lot of times, people are dying. Like, we don't have time for this bullshit. People are dying. And so, you know, for that reason alone, Angela would lose all of her ability to do what she did against Claudia, because she can't sit in front of Claudia and have in her back pocket knowing that if she says something a certain way, she can catch this white lady out here, because that's all she was thinking, right? That was all that was in the back of Angela's head, is like,
Oh,
if I can just get it to sound a certain way,
trust me.
right? And that's the whole thing. And then you have somebody like Jill Stein, who is versed, who is intelligent, who understands, who has been fighting the real fight, who, for all the things that we may not love about whatever the campaign strategy is, you can't deny that she's on the right side of this battle, right? Like, that's undeniable. So to find that means to like try your best to like cushion everything in such a way so that she feels like she can't respond because she's the white lady in the room, right? And it's just disingenuous, but you can't do that to Claudia, and that's exactly why they ain't never gonna let her in that. They ain't never letting her in that room.
Listen,
ever.
That's a fact. I mean, and that's way better than I can put it. I think to add on to what Jared was saying about emancipatory journalism, the way she tried to read off a losing record to the Green Party and the way Jill's responded was, no, actually, that's a reflection of our will to fight, because a lot of third party candidates to pop up, they only stay around one or twice, and we've been here for this long. And as Renee correctly said it, the whole objective, they even made a line like, oh, you a brother, as they talked about Butch hanging with the other. And they talk about, you can't tell me that I'm spitting white supremacist rhetoric. But the thing that most people will miss is Jill Stein's line actually represent the majority of Black, Latino, and other women of color, the way she was spitting her line. And Angela doesn't. Even it represents a line for Black women who go against their own self-interest unknowingly. So like the way that was laid out is, and Claudia, like, you have two women of color running for president. There's no way that you can have that happen. And AOC even would kind of match up with Claudia. So y'all won't get an invite anytime
Claudia
soon.
would shoot. Listen, Claudia would shoot all them people up, like without even breathing. At the hub, the thing, and I said it when we came on that Saturday after I went to the event. I was like, she stood there. She ain't had nothing written down. It wasn't a speech. It wasn't like she had notes. She had her open bottle of water on the floor next to her sandals, and she was just riffing, and that was it. Like she just off the dome. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get that everywhere. You're just not. Like, it's not even possible to get that everywhere. And every time I am around Claudia, I am reminded why her voice is so important. And so, I mean, look, that's my sis, man. I'll be texting her like, sis. Blah, 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 blah.
in the vein of
beautiful. And I just want to say, I do hope they invite Claudia there. Like, I think for us, I mean, we are extremely grateful. We fight for left media emancipatory journalism like this. We participated. We have our own publications and all of that. We fight for building a media that we lead, we control, we can tell the truth on, but we also don't shy away from opportunities to also speak to other forms of media and to really put our ideas and our line out there. And so, I think knowing what we're going into and getting ourselves into, and knowing that, some interviews may not be easy or friendly, but it's still an opportunity for us to get our ideas out there. So like, I'm glad that Jill, held her ground and talked her shit and really, stood for what, or shared what she stood for. And I hope that we also get the opportunity to do that. It's like, we understand what it is that third party candidates, third parties, we don't get these same opportunities, right? To really amplify our message through mainstream media. And so for us, it's like, whether it's a short, line that we're able to deliver in an interview on corporate media, at a protest or whatever the case may be, we fight for that space. And we fight to get our ideas and words out there. And I think for someone like Claudia, who has been in the struggle for so long. Someone like Jill similarly been in struggle for so long. Like, I think they've dealt with it all when it comes to interviews and the media, and to just, you know, have that strength, that training, and to really know what it is that you're talking about. So anyways, I'm gonna watch the interview, and I'm also gonna keep pushing for Claudia to be in that space too, and for us to continue to build spaces like this where we can really talk truth, we can connect with other people like us, and really spread our message out there as far as we can. And this is such a resource to people. Like, I come back to you all time and time again for clarity, and to learn from other people. So thank you for the work that you do. I know Jared, you're sort of like, you know, I could be on the podcast all day, but we need people like that have really dedicated themselves entirely to building up Left Media and our communications platform. We need that. We know what we're up against. We know what we're excluded from. We know what is hostile towards us, and what we still need to fight for, to have some time on. But like, this right here is such an incredible project. So thank you all sincerely for the work that you do day in and day out. Episode 49, and 49, 400 more to come, I hope.
No, right on. Thank you very much. And like they say, we'll see you in the whirlwind, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See you in the streets, and I'll be back anytime. Honestly, would love to be here again with you all, bring more comrades on. And yeah, I hope I'll see you all very soon in the streets too.
Definitely.
Right,
and you definitely about to get this email about a socialism class. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. Look.
Please
Thanks, Gabi. Thank you so
Right
much
on,
for your
Gabi.
time.
Good
So
to see you
appreciate
again.
it.
Yes.
Peace. Right on. Be safe. All right. Yeah. Shout out to Gabi and the PSL. All right.
She was good.
Even
that was good.
That was very good. And the I watched a little bit at least of Claudia on with Brian Becker doing their post debate response, whatever type of thing.
Oh, okay.
Where, because obviously she's not going to be invited to the debates, and apparently there aren't going to be any more debates. But to see her respond to the Trumpian, I was trying to come up with I was going to say trash Trump Harris trash something anyway. But Trump. Having her respond to it, I think I'd love to have more of that. Whether it's Claudia, Karina, Gabi, other PSL reps come through and have them respond to even. I'd even like to see, if we can't have an actual debate, I would love to see Jill and Butch versus Claudia and Karina in a debate.
I think we can host that on our platform.
We do that? I mean, can we?
I think we can. I think we have connection to it. Are
they planning to do that?
We might have the pull for that.
I think we actually have the pull to do that.
Are they planning to do it? Has anybody else discussed it?
Not that I
haven't heard.
They did that one third party debate thing a while back. But there was multiple candidates on there. And so, but actually having Claudia and Karina and Jill and Butch on that.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised some media platforms that I would done that haven't done that yet. But I think we could do that. I think we can.
I mean, I don't mind us being the first to do it. I wouldn't mind us being second. I mean, because I'm always like, it could happen more than once. And things tend to be different when they happen around here. So, but yeah, I'd be interested in it. I would, whether I'm a moderator or audience member. I'd want to see it.
Yeah.
But even if that wasn't the case, I would be interested in having PSL reps responding to other interviews. I guess we're not getting any more debates, but and we can create I don't know, a virtual de facto debate that doesn't happen directly live against one another if necessary. But no, that would be dope if we could pull that off.
I feel like Geechee could try and do.
Geechee can do what? You say we're Geechee?
That's what happens when you put your head down and start reading text messages. And
You
stuff.
say Geechee can do what now?
I feel like you could put together this debate thing. I bet you could do it.
I mean, I think possibly. I didn't actually know I had a connection to Brother Butch, and y'all already got y'all connection to Jill with a Jamu, and we already got our connection to Claudia. I really think that could happen like really easy. So
we may have to look into this.
Let's look
into it. We should do it. We should do it pretty soon. Even if it's, if it's not a remix doing it, or if it's not a Saturday doing it, or Friday, like I think.
I feel like that's gonna have to be like a whole separate
platform.
Yeah, like a platform wide.
Yeah,
bring them on thing. So we'll see. We shall.
Let's see. Let's look into it. All right. So what's next? Where we going?
I know what is next because. So
we got your rabbit hole. Yeah,
we had the rabbit hole this morning. You all brought up the death penalty case that's about to move forward. To everyone's consternation, given that they're literally denying the man his rights to bring in the fact that there is DNA evidence that would exonerate him. We've got, like you said, the rabbit hole. We've got a very interesting clip from WBAI that made me turn my radio off. I was so irritated. And it was like perfect timing because it was the day before we met with Dr. Hassan. And it was literally the opposite of what he said.
Okay, so I'm pulling now because we don't want to end on a bad note. So let's get to the hate first. Let's get to the hate. No, I'm just playing.
So as everyone is aware, I listen to WBAI in the mornings, and that is back on schedule now that I'm back to carpooling and driving the child to school in the mornings. And so on Wednesdays, the What's Going On morning show is hosted by Linda Sarsour. And I have deep respect for her work and the things that she has done. But I've been very, how do we say, I've been very leery of how she has been responding to this election cycle. And she was part of the uncommitted movement and had been, supporting their work. And as everyone is aware here, I was really disappointed to see the uncommitted chair kind of give up all of their leverage before anything had actually been decided by, immediately stating that they were going to continue to work within the Democratic Party, which then of course resulted in them getting zero, anything, they're not going to get anything as a movement. And why would they, when they already gave away all of their value to the Democratic Party, which is their vote. And then there was this debate. And contrary to what young Gabi said, I did not watch that mess because I couldn't do it. I decided I was not going to choose violence, and I was just going to stay away from it and let people send clips, and I would see what I saw based on whatever people posted. Just because I don't have it in me to listen to two people stand around and lie to each other in the audience. And I'm annoyed that media is so quick to fact check Trump, but they don't fact check Harris. And I can't. So the morning after the debate, Linda Sarsour had her show because it's Wednesday mornings, and she was talking about what she got from the debate. So what's lined up here is her culminating statement about how she feels after watching the debate. And after y'all listen to it, we can come back and talk about it more.
Here is that the debate was, again, just really, we deserve better. That's really what I have to say. We deserve better. But Donald Trump really reaffirmed for me again last night that we cannot allow this man to go back into the White House. And that's really what I got out of that. And I know that people will say, well, when you say you don't want Donald Trump in the White House, what are you saying? And I'm just saying we can't have Donald Trump in the White House. And that for me is a North Star here. And I have been very clear on my critiques of Kamala Harris. I have been very clear about there are choices on the ballot, but I also have been clear that we cannot have Donald Trump in the White House again. I think that there's too much at stake here. And I know that it seems we say that every 4 years, but Donald Trump proved to me last night that he is just unhinged on many levels. And so that was the debate last night. And we'll continue to watch. Apparently,
That's the same face I had. I was like, let me turn this mess off. I couldn't even listen to the rest of her show. I was so disappointed because, I mean, she might as well have just went on and said, just vote for Harris, right? Like her goal was to not say that out loud, but everything she said leads to that conclusion. Because if she, in my opinion, was really serious about, and this is a woman who, as a Palestinian American, still has family in Palestine. Now, if I understand correctly, her family is not in Gaza, they're in the West Bank. I don't know her full story. She did one time tell a story about her kids saying like, they're not going anywhere that their cousins can't go because they have a US passport and their cousins can't. So she is deeply rooted in this struggle as a Palestinian American. And to me, the contrast of how she responded in saying Trump can't be in the White House, like that's my North Star, like to utilize that term, that's my North Star, was outrageous to me. That this was what she got from the debate. Not that these two people who both support genocide, neither one, like, even if she had said neither one of these people can be in the White House, and I don't like Trump and I think he's crazy, but neither of them should be in the White House. But to actually hone in simply on only Trump being the person who cannot be in the White House blew my mind. It blew my mind. And then we talked to Dr. Hassan the next day and he re-energized my
I mean, has she ever interviewed him or them or anybody from that crew? Do you know?
Not that
Have they crossed paths at all?
Not that I know of, no. And my goal right now in life is to get the New Jersey uncommitted people connected to the abandoned Harris people, and in hopes that they'll just because I think I don't know what the full organizational chart is to understand how this all works from state to state. But New Jersey Uncommitted has put forth a petition, No Votes for Genocide. They're asking people to sign on to confirm and to, stand with the NJ Uncommitted crew to say they will not vote for any candidate who supports genocide. And so that is a separate stance from the Uncommitted National, from what I understand. And so it feels to me like they're more aligned with the abandoned Harris people. And so, I'd like to see them have that conversation. And I'd like to see, these groups that are organizing, in support of the Palestinians kind of get on board with this. We're just not going to do this. We're not going to okay a candidate who is okay with killing off an entire population of people.
Man, so the We Deserve Better obviously should have applied for both of them, but I found that there's clips in that debate where you can almost sound like Kamala, I'm sorry. Kamala was staunch militarist and top cop, and then there's a small clip and you can be like, well, it sounds like Trump anti-war when he was like, about the Ukraine and Putin. He was saying we'll establish some type of peace, whatever. And so I think Kamala's having to get up there and show how tough and how strong she are and how pro-America she was pretty much a disaster for her. So that we deserve better should have gone all across that board instead of, the anti-scared of Trump stuff.
Yeah, she had until she went into the Trump can't win thing.
No, I also am curious. I don't follow her work, admittedly, so I don't know if how she's broken this down. But I'm now wondering, what are her criticisms of Kamala? If she can say, well, I have criticisms of Kamala, but we just have to make sure Trump is out. Well, what are those criticisms? Because if they include you've been supporting a genocide, then I understand your desire not to have Trump be in office, and I don't think any of us appreciate his presence. The issue is, what is Kamala going to offer? And if it's just a matter of someone not saying stupid stuff about immigrants and eating animals and all of that, okay. But if it's I keep saying the same. I mean, if it's any of the big stuff, if it's ending wars, redistributing wealth, actual health care, actual meaningful jobs and employment, time off, vacation. Look, I keep coming back to this. I said it before. This 100 years ago, in this Elizabeth Fons Wolfe book, Selling Free Enterprise, I keep talking about it. She's talking about the labor movement was expecting that we were going to have a situation where working people were going to have a situation where of 25-hour work weeks, increased paid vacations. I can't even remember the rest, but 25-hour work weeks 100 some years ago. And here we are in 2024, and the idea of anybody having a 25-hour work week is almost unfathomable. So even if we get off of the big easy stuff like genocide, what are we getting for the not Trump vote? And that's what I find so disappointing in these presentations, these arguments. And she can say, look, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying we can't have Trump. But where is the analysis? Again, I only heard that 1 minute, so I don't mean to, but it just seems to fit well with so much of what's going on now. Where's the analysis as to what is the real good reason for us to vote for Kamala? And what are you expecting that we can get from it? And then what is your historical justification for those claims? And I just am not moved by any argument I've heard.
And most of all, what will be her response to this Biden putting Trump hat on?
And what was that supposed to
signify? Real? I thought, what was, when you said it was real, I was like, it wasn't real. Get you messing with me.
It was.
So what is the? Real.
So Biden is at some type of worker union space where he's speaking to some union workers who challenge him to put on the Trump hat, and he puts on the Trump hat. So there's pictures and videos around of Biden wearing a Trump hat. So I'm curious with that. And then obviously Trump was trying to say that Biden actually doesn't even like Kamala Harris. So that was a thing that was happening on the stage too. So it'd be interesting to see her response to that.
I'm sure he doesn't.
I was just about to say that he probably
She called him racist. Remember? That's, she called him out for being racist when she was trying to run against him.
Oh, it was a while. Yeah.
And then she forgot when he asked her to be vice president.
I mean, yeah. Why she got asked? Because they were like, I'm running. I'm not trying to compete with this woman saying I was bust. I'm that girl. What is it? I was the girl. What was her initial meme?
That was me.
That was me or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man. But so I don't. But what is he? So he's trying to prove that he, whatever.
Yeah, I can't. So let's talk about what people will get with this Harris. Let's fall down my rabbit hole. Let's fall down my rabbit hole, y'all.
The Advisors Part 2, Cop Connections, Cop Protectors, and Cop City Builders. Of course, the link is in the show description. But what So
Yeah,
this is the dream team of revolution.
that's the dream team. That's the dream team.
Devolution.
I
Devolution.
All this diversity and smiles, and
They all in. They all in.
we got to be good off of this. So I expect as I scroll down here, this is going to be we good.
Yeah, yeah.
It should just be one big. We're good.
So last article was about precision strategies and what I discovered about the folks that were involved in that actual organization. And in doing my research for the first one, it's what made me realize I was going to have to do like a series because it was going to be too much to try and put it all into one piece. And so as I was writing the last article, I was watching on Netflix. There's a series called like Worst Ex Ever. Yeah, Worst Ex Ever.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. So the very first episode in that little mini series is based in Las Vegas. And it follows basically this man who was totally out of control and who first tried to kill a Black woman who was his girlfriend. And when the police came, he lied and said she attacked him. So they arrested her and left him in the house. He ended up killing 2 people, kidnapping somebody else, kidnapping this girl. The man was crazy. So all of this was happening out of the Las Vegas police department. But they showed like a picture of the police department that someone clearly took from within the trees. And it struck me, wait a minute, isn't that where they're trying to build a cop city? There's a cop city being built at the base of the mountains on the the eastern edge of Las Vegas. So I went back to look it up, and then I was like, wait a minute. The woman who wrote the bill that is supporting this cop city, isn't her name on that list of Kamala folks, which it is. And so that's what sent me down this path of looking at policing. So the actual spreadsheet and database has been updated to include everyone's hometown that I could find, because I felt like I needed to start with understanding where people were actually from. In looking at where people were actually from, I went deeper depending on their location. So if they were located somewhere where I know there is a cop city being built or there's something going on with policing, I looked a little deeper. So that's how we got to this list of characters. And the first one is Mr. Pyle, who a lot of people have been talking about because he used to work for BlackRock. And so this is her, economic advisor. And the fact that he used to work for BlackRock should make everyone kind of think twice about whether or not this is a good idea for the regular working person. But the town that he's from is outside of Decatur. This stands out to me because there's a brand new private facility outside of Decatur that is supported by the PERF, which I'm blanking on, it's like the law enforcement training people. And they have this de-escalation program that's called ICAT. And they built a brand new facility in Decatur. And so I started poking around because I was like, I wonder if he had anything to do with this ICAT facility. So I couldn't find anything direct, but what I found was so interesting and what that I decided I was just going to write it anyway, even though it wasn't a direct connection. So he's from Harristown, Illinois, which is right outside of Decatur and is also part of Macon County, which is where Howard Buffett, yes, the son of Warren Buffett, got to play sheriff for a year on a certification that apparently he shouldn't have gotten because the person who gave it to him either got fired or had to quit because he should not have gotten that certification. And his foundation is the group that has been paying for all of these cop training facilities to get built in Decatur. So that town, you know, it is very hard for me to imagine that these people have never crossed paths, right? But I didn't have time to prove it, so I didn't go about trying to prove it. But what I did discover is Berkshire Hathaway, which is the Buffett company. Turns out that BlackRock has an 8% ownership in that company. So the reason this matters, because people will say like, oh, well, BlackRock owns everything. But that's what we need to understand. All of these people are working together, right? So Warren Buffett will come out and he'll support whoever, and they're still waiting for him to jump on the Harris train, which apparently he has not done yet. But here it is. He is a billionaire who makes all his money off of the profit that is gained from shitting all over regular working people. He calls himself a philanthropist. And his son, who is also a billionaire because his father has made all this money, is using all of his money to support policing and law enforcement. And Kamala Harris has been very clear on her line for this. She was all in for the American Safer Plan. They were all in for the $37 billion that they asked to increase law enforcement, to get 100,000 more officers on the street. You know, they bragged about how municipalities spent their money. She's already made it clear that she's full on board with this, and she's just going to keep moving forward with the Biden plan. And here it is, one of her associates, advisors, whatever, is this connection to me is something that I just felt like people needed to understand, because people need to realize that it is all big business. That's where all the problems are coming from. It's these corporations, these billionaires, these companies that are working together, and they're all working against our benefit, but because they are the people who are supporting these candidates, including Harris, right? It's allowable, and people aren't paying attention to these really random connections, and no one would fall down this rabbit hole but me. But when I saw Howard Buffett, I was like, that can't be. And I looked it up and I was like, it sure is.
No, it would have to be.
So,
and we'll just remember that this is the one of the relatives that Warren did not cut off, because if we remember in Born Rich Part 2, we see his granddaughter explaining how she got cut off simply for asking about the money in the family or talking publicly about the money in the family. So she got cut off. He cut her off entirely. No more family visits, no money, no nothing. So Howard stayed in line and is being rewarded. Yeah.
So there's a good thing that came through from Jared sending me on this punishment mission to earn your liberation. Oh, my bad. Earn your leisure. And so as you talk about Decatur and BlackRock at the Invest Fest, you'll hear stuff like this.
Some of you keep asking me, how do I know if a stock is going to be a surefire hit? On the institutional side, whatever BlackRock and Vanguard says, shout out to BlackRock, is law. The companies they invest in are law, right? But you have to make sure that they're number 1 or 2 in their industry. But if you want to know which companies are going to be amazing in the future, go to AngelList and Y Combinator.
So BlackRock is doing a thing on the Black community by investing in the financial literacy and gurus and all the entertainment. So as bad as we know BlackRock to be, the image among Black folks, even though there are a lot of people that I asked at the place, do they know who BlackRock is? They're like, I don't even know who that is, even though BlackRock is on that side. Eventually, BlackRock image in the Black community will definitely get a good wash and rinse into something that's very positive.
Right. And meanwhile, their 8% ownership is going to building cop cities, just the FYI, so folks can understand. So the next group of people in the article are the cop protectors. And I just don't understand when, like, let me not say I don't understand, because capitalism is a bitch, right? Like you have to, you make a decision, you're going to take a job, you're going to get a job, you're going to work in whatever industry you need to work in so that you can make your paycheck. But I feel like there has to be a part of you when you sign on to work for something that if it is absolutely like counter to your very being, that maybe you shouldn't do it. Right? Like it's just me. So Rahm Emanuel, who comes with his own long, lethal list of like unethical behavior and outrageous stuff within the political landscape, hired a young lady by the name of Deanne Millison. And she was part of the litigation counsel for his mayoral staff. She worked for him through his she started during his first run as mayor. She worked for him through the duration of his second run as mayor. The thing that caught me is she signed on essentially to be counsel for a mayor who was fully like complicit in the killing of Laquan McDonald, right? He is the one who hid the film, right? Like, so all these things, the DOJ investigation, all of those things that came with what happened with and not that the DOJ investigation means much, because, you know, Lord knows, like doing an investigation to point out how corrupt a police department is not like whoop-de-doo, right? But that you would be a part of that, to me, I can't. But that was what she did. And she actually got like, one of those links is to them like announcing that she's part of their public safety. She's like the change in the face of public safety in Chicago, like all this mess. So, okay. So this is Millicent is one of the advisors. I will also say, interestingly enough, and I'm going to have to do one on attorneys, she started out working for a law firm that there are other attorneys who are advisors who work for that law firm. And that law firm is fully invested in defense, in crypto, in like all the things. But we'll get to that in another article. Then we move on to Marty Walsh. Woo-hoo. So Marty Walsh was the Boston mayor. He was the mayor from 2014 to 2021. He ended up being the Secretary of Labor under Biden. But Marty Walsh was also the mayor of Boston when they were doing their own version of stop and frisk in Boston. And he had and it went on, you know, they did a study in 2016, and then they did another study in 2019. And it proved exactly what stop and frisk always proves, that it over polices Black and brown people.
But Renee, isn't Marty Walsh the one who said racism is a public health in Boston?
He sure did, because, you know, once all these reports started coming out about what was happening 4 years into his role as mayor, he had to do something. He was there in 2020. He had to step up and pretend like he was, you know, going to be part of the solution. And they were going to do all these reforms based on, you know, these recommendations and his thing that he put through and blah, blah, blah. And then somebody went back a year later after these recommendations were supposedly going to be put in, and only like a quarter of them had even been instituted. So you're not like, he's not serious, right? Like, he's just not serious. But Marty Walsh is one of her advisors, right? So you have two people who worked in administrations. One is the mayor, one is the counsel to a mayor within cities that to this day are still mad police racist violence, right? Like, they're still completely invested in oppressing Black and brown and working people in their communities. And this is who is on her team. So just saying, like, it is, you know, it's there. Like, this is all, every link in there is real, you know, but we have to pay attention to the people who are doing the Harris whispering, right? Because this is why we're always going to be in this situation where we are under administrations who fully support policing and fully support the ability to arm people in costumes to come into your house and to kill you, and then to tell you that you put them in danger with the boiling water, right? Like, this is how it happened. So the last group is out of Nevada. And again, this was the thing that first caught my eye. And the Nevada jetty, the Las Vegas jetty is, another one of these massive facilities is being built. It's at the base of this mountain range, and it's going to be as much, if not more, of an environmental issue than is being posed in Atlanta because of where the facility is located. So shout out to the Stop Cop City research group that allowed me to pull some stuff from some of the documents that we had pulled together. But, again, it's one more facility, and for what? And it's being shared with the military, and they're expanding it to include a firing range and all these things. And meanwhile, your police department let a madman run around for years, killing and kidnapping people. So Catherine, what's her, Cortez Masto is the current senator of Nevada. She used to be a state attorney general. She is the person who, when Kamala Harris talks about working with her neighboring states to protect the border as a prosecutor, Catherine is the person she was working with, because that was the attorney general in Nevada at that time. In addition to the fact that she wrote the bill that is supporting this facility being built, Justin Jones is the Clark County Commissioner, excuse me. And Justin Jones, and it took me a while because, when you look up Justin Jones, you find the one in Memphis. The one in Tennessee is hard. You don't necessarily found the county commissioner out of Las Vegas. And so I don't know what the full story is behind Justin Jones, why he had to step down, because he got found out that he was deleting text messages as part of some investigation because the county was being sued, and apparently whatever was going on could potentially cost the county millions of dollars, whatever he participated in. But when I found his list of endorsers, it was filled with cops. Now, why is Justin Jones a problem? Justin Jones is a problem because his wife is an advisor to Kamala Harris, Megan Jones. So all these people are interconnected. They're all playing together, and they're all playing in our faces, right? And telling you that you have to vote for this person because she's better than the other person. Meanwhile, they're behind all kinds of corruption, racist police violence, cop cities, all this stuff that is detrimental to the Black community and detrimental to all communities, frankly. And they're all working together behind the scenes. And if you don't have time on your hands because you're unemployed, you don't have the ability, the time, or the desire to fall down these damn rabbit holes and figure out where these connections lie. So luckily, y'all have somebody who is of such ilk who decided to fall down the rabbit hole. So there you go. Enjoy. Yay. It's madness, yo. It's madness.
And what I'm stuck on is that I know that were any one of a number of people that we would end up engaging will see this, hear this, read this, and she's not Trump. We just can't have Trump. That's what's frustrating, that the analysis in response to this won't meet this level of effort, and they won't feel like they have to. Many of them won't feel like they even have to.
Right. Because even the argument of he's gonna allow full immunity for police. I'm like, what is it? What is the differential that you think exists between the immunity they have now and this future level of immunity that's going to save anybody? Because it's not going to save anybody. Because even the very few officers who, after murdering someone, actually go to trial, right? How much of that actually results in anything that is conducive to the community? You can't give the person back after they've been killed, right? And so all of these people who are, going on and on about the immunity and it's gonna be a free for. It's already a damn free for all, right? You're talking about the consequences of an officer after they kill somebody. How about we focus on not killing people? How about we take that step? How about we work on focusing on an administrative team that would actually seek to not allow people wearing uniforms and guns to kill people? And why are we so worried about what happens after that happens? And we're not focusing on the fact that none of those actions prevent the death.
I don't have a good
What
answer.
about abortion and women rights? I mean, you guys just seem like y'all just, I don't know what's going on here.
If that's all. Like, if. I mean, do I doubt that she'd sign it? I don't doubt that she'd sign it. I'm sure she will, right? Like, well, maybe. Let me not say that even, right? It's possible that she will. It's likely that she will. There we go. That's a better word. It's likely that she will. But is she gonna have something to sign? That's the question. Because it's not like she said she was gonna write an executive order and she was gonna make it happen. Right? Like that wasn't the statement. The statement was, if they bring something to my desk, I will sign it. That could mean a whole lot of things, right?
And then we would just have to remind everybody what life was like when abortion was legal. And again, it's not that women should not have access and control of their bodies and reproductive rights, but it's the reduction of our whole struggle and movement and efforts to free ourselves to that one issue. And then again, to the point, for even those who don't feel that electoral politics are for revolutionaries at all, the same kind of thing applies. That the absence of what's the word I'm looking for? Of an aggressive isn't the word, but offensive isn't the word, but having a plan, having a politic, having a goal, having a desire for a better world is so easily reduced to one or another issue. That's really what I'm just getting at.
Really it's like pigmentation first. And then once you find the right pigmentation, then you find a single issue that you don't even research. So you still hear the Obama line about Obamacare. Right. And most people can't really intelligently speak about that one issue that they're actually claiming to be the death knell of the whole election. So
right.
And people so focused on that, like, oh, well, we got Obamacare, and you're missing that if healthcare was free, you wouldn't need Obamacare.
And then and remember, they used to tell us that this would be the stepping stone to that. That this is a step there, and now we don't hear anything about that. Kamala has no plan to advance.
Nope, none. And they're taking all kinds of stuff out, which is going to lead us perfectly to this situation with the Democrats completely removing their previous line that they were going to end the death penalty. That's no longer on the table. Right? And so it is like a never-ending cycle of the Democrats literally like laughing in our faces about just really like these very, very clear-cut humanity things, right? Like state-sanctioned murder should not be a thing, period. That's my stance on it. It should not be a thing. And so the idea that they have now completely removed this from their campaign platform. So what does this mean? Right? Like we're gonna pretend because people were all up in arms because Trump was all about the death penalty, right? They were up in arms. But it's okay now.
We just have to have our priorities straight. That's all. We just have to not have the fascist Trump in office. I mean, that's all we get is not Trump. We don't get health care. We don't get an end of war. We don't get. And people wanted to credit even Biden with the ending of Afghanistan. And some of us, I know myself included, I think I was even on record around here saying, as soon as he ended Afghanistan, several of us were asking, well, where's that $300 million a day going to go? That $300 million a day that was being spent on the war in Afghanistan wasn't just going to stop being spent. Somebody was still, the people who were receiving that money are still going to be asking, well, you can end this war, but what you got on my next one, homie?
Right.
And it didn't take long for them to find something else. And if it's not direct engagement, they just fund Ukraine, and we keep or sell more weapons to Israel. The money train continues, and as we heard, there's Kamala's not changing that. She told that woman on CNN,
nope,
and the woman doubled down. So no policy change. Nope.
So this is why we are going to side with Abandon Harris. So I did drop. They put it on Twitter. I was trying to find if they had put it on their website yet. It was not posted on the full website as of yesterday. It might be there today, but they did. Abandon Harris did release a statement regarding not siding with any of these genocide candidates. The statement is very clear. There is no question or doubt that will remain as to whether or not they are going to pick one of these nonsensical sides, one cheek off the same ass. And I just think that this is the stance that we all need to take.
And they just keep, they hit all the lines. This is not about choosing between the lesser of two evils. This is about two evils. And I like that line too. Right. And then they point out, if you care about climate, well, they said since October 7th, the emissions released from the first 2 months after October 7th were the equivalent to burning 150,000 tons of coal. So pick your approach. If you don't have a problem with genocide and killing children and all of that, and you maybe care about the earth, well, then this is still a problem for you.
Or it should be.
Or again, I mean, yeah, it should be. And it's not lesser evil. It's just two straight out evils. And just because one person says something, again, outlandish on the podium doesn't mean the other one is not just as evil in policy and impact. So,
and in some ways, to me, and people will say this is crazy to say out loud, but in some ways, the person who is most able to sit with a straight face and speak and sound clear and and all those things, but is a war criminal, right? And is supporting mass murder and is supporting everything that is to the detriment of regular working people is almost more dangerous.
So basically you're saying, Renee, if anybody say that Kamala Harris is anything other than a war criminal, you will say, the devil is a liar.
The devil is a liar. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's about to be the new theme song.
No,
Saturdays with Renee.
Loaded. And Relay will go down a rabbit hole and research you to prove that you lie. And connect who you connected to, what you ate for lunch, breakfast, and in third grade when you have free lunch and you lie about it, she got it. She got it.
Clean up your house. You will be next on that summer jam stage, summer jam screen. You gonna be next.
Man, these
You don't wanna
rabbit
be
holes,
next.
man, it's tiring. It's tiring, and it's also tiring knowing that people will still, exactly like you said, Jared. They'll be like, "Oh, but she ain't Trump." Okay.
So, all right. Well, look. We got many more months. Not many more months. We got a couple more months to go.
Yes,
But
sir.
we've already satisfied the base requirements for me, at least, to be telling people I told you so.
I agree.
And I am absolutely the one. So when you elect Kamala and you see the world don't get no better, I'm gonna be the first one. Well, I'll work with you, struggle with you, shoulder to shoulder. But I'm gonna be over there looking at you like I told you so while we over there swinging on somebody.
Got them chains on.
I told you.
Was that you?
Breath, Geechee.
Was that you saying we was gonna be watching Tyler Perry movies with the chains or something like that?
Well, that used to be my joke, that when they turn the trains back on to get the death camp started up again, they're gonna have, first class accommodations. It's gonna be Soul Plane and Tyler Perry marathons. And we're gonna be happy with soul food buffets, and it's gonna be nice. They even gonna have some Uncle Nearest for me.
Hey, and they're gonna be playing. They not like us in the background with Kendrick.
All of that. And we're gonna be cheering and singing, and then you're gonna wake up with old sister singing to you in the afterlife.
All right, man, let's not get in trouble.
We're not getting in trouble because I'm over here talking about swinging, but I'm not swinging with these folks, boy. I tell you, boy, I don't want no drama.
No drama.
No smoke. Salute the warrior class. I don't want none of that. So everybody, hydrate, stretch, and then come on back for warrior class. Geechee, Renee, Gabi, it's been great. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, support the Patreon, hit that bell so you don't miss anything. And peace, as Fred Hampton used to say. We'll see you next week with more Saturday with Renee.